there you go. Hi, everyone. Please meet my great friend, Liam. And he's got amazing things to tell us. And I'm going to just be quiet and let him talk. Over to you, Liam.
Okay, thank you, Jackie. Yeah, I actually began by answering some of the questions that were already coming on here. I just want to say welcome to everyone who's joined us. Hopefully we'll have a problem-free broadcast from now on. But yeah, I'm Liam Kennedy. And for the last 7 years, I've been really on this journey where I've been sharing what started out as my passion for the International Space Station and sharing it with the public and sharing it with my grandchildren. And 7 years ago, I sort of created this little thing here, which is a Raspberry Pi based device that tracks the International Space Station. And every time it's above your horizon, somewhere in your skies, it will flash like this for the duration of the time that the space station rises above the horizon, travels across your sky, and then sets again on the other side of the horizon. And it also flashes to let you know how long it's going to be until the space station passes by. And so this little box, you know, it's now in all parts of the world, but strangely enough, not so many in Australia, which hopefully will be changed with One Giant Leap's, you know, efforts that's coming up. And, you know, I'm sure we'll be talking more about the connections that are going on there that will make that possible. But in fact, here, I guess, what part of Australia might this be that is going behind me right now? Just to let you know, this isn't live. This is a pre-recorded clip that I've got going on here. But that's one corner of Australia. And these are the kinds of views that are available from the space station. So, you know, the International Space Station is this place in space where human beings are living and working and doing research. It's the place where the wattle seeds were hanging out for many months up in that environment. And while that was going on, the space station is passing over Australia around 5 to 8 times every single day across all parts of Australia. Somewhere it's in your skies. And if I switch back to my screen to show you where the space station is right now. So this is one of the information displays that's coming from the orbit screen over looks like north somewhere over Asia. Probably over Mongolia or Kazakhstan right now, and it's heading towards a little bit of Australia over there. Is that heading towards Queensland? Maybe it's so, and it will be there in a short while. Meanwhile, I actually have this particular device configured to think it is in Perth. So if I go back to the screen, you might be able to see the little red dot that is in obviously the far western, southwestern corner there of Australia. And that's showing you that this is configured to think that it is sitting in Australia. And the screen is showing approximately two orbits. So the first part of the orbit, it's heading across to Queensland, and it's going to be passing by there probably in another 20 minutes or so. But the next orbit after that, it will be passing, you can see there, it's a little bit to the northeast of where Perth is, quite some distance. But nevertheless, With the ISS above, it will actually show you where it will be in your skies at that time. And this is one of the display screens that the ISS above shows. This is really helpful for students to understand really what is happening when the International Space Station is making a pass during the daytime in this case. So as you can see here, over Perth, it's rising above the horizon at 11:06 a.m. Just a little bit later on today. And you can see the yellow curve that's in the top right here. It shows you that it's going from the north to just a little bit south of east. And it's really very low on the horizon. And you can see there are concentric circles there that's showing you how high up the sky the space station will be. And obviously this is staying well below 20 degrees. But it's also showing you there some of the other astronomical objects that are in the sky during this pass. If I just switch back to that screen, you can see that the space station there is again passing across the north to the east. But what we've also got there is it's showing where it's got that yellow circle with SU underneath it. That's not surprisingly the sun. And you can see the moon is up as well, and also the planet Venus, and it also shows Mars there too. Now this is during the daytime, so it's not going to be possible to see anything other than the sun in the sky and the moon. But nevertheless, that's what this particular screen is showing you. So, the other parts of the information that are shown are this screen, which is tells you when the next visible pass is. It just so happens across much of Australia this coming week, there are a bunch of visible passes. This is one that is not the best, but it's still reasonably bright. And that one, if you're in Perth, is happening at 6:30 on Saturday. But I want to show you something else that's quite special. This is a bit of an advanced screen, but I wanted to use this to illustrate for you. This is showing you every single pass of the space station over Perth in this case, but it's a calendar. So it shows you the hours of the day along the top, followed by the day, going down for the next approximately 2 weeks. And everywhere there is a circle or even a dot, that means the space station is somewhere in your sky at the time centered where the center of the circle or dot is. And the bigger the circle, that means it is making a closer pass to you, where it may be, like some of those really big ones, like there's one on, I'll switch to the visible pass ones. They're the ones that are green or yellow, and you can see that they're happening after sunset. So any circle or dot that's green or yellow, that means it's a visible pass. So that's what I mean. Over the next week or so, there will be an opportunity to visible passes, not just for Perth. This just happens to be configured for that, but many places across Australia will have the same sort of thing. In fact, later on, I'll probably switch this to another location, and that way you can see that the pass predictions then change. So that's sort of just to give you a little bit of an intro to some of the information screens. I showed you the ISS above device, which is a Raspberry Pi, and I think someone asked, can it plug into Wi-Fi as well as a wired port? Yes, you can configure this to connect up to the school Wi-Fi. The first configuration is done just by plugging it into the school's to an Ethernet port, but after that, you can easily reconfigure it. So let me see what else can I do here. Now, I realize I started straight off into the ISS above, but before I go too far into it, I do have a couple of videos that I wanted to share with you beyond what I've been showing behind here. In fact, before I get there, let me go back to the screen here and show you the orbit screen. So you can see at the moment, the space station is in daylight. And you know that because it is currently traversing on the orbit path, and that is colored yellow. That means the space station is currently in daylight. And here's the thing with this live video feed, which this is actually recording right now. This video feed will show you the view of the Earth below the space station whenever the space station is in daylight. I just don't happen to be showing it right now, but I may very well just bring it up. Let me just check check that I can bring it up here, and I'll just show you what's going on with that. He says, all right, yeah, let me try this one. And I might just share, oh, currently it is, all right, that is a little bit back in time. I know I'm being a little bit, yeah, I'm not quite seeing the live video feed right now, but just switch it on over here and we'll let that come up. We'll see if I can actually bring up the live video feed right now. While we're waiting for that to potentially come up, this is some other information that's displayed. You get to see some of the information about what's happening on the space station, live events. The timing here is all related to Eastern time, which is the schedule that NASA publishes. Although strangely enough, the actual time on the space station is always set to universal time, or GMT, because that's the time that the astronauts work to, and it happens to be halfway between the two main mission controls. Oh, there we go. That's I've got some problems with the live video feed there. So the time on the space station is set really conveniently to be halfway between Russia, Moscow, and the main mission control in Houston, Johnson Space Center. So that's why they do it that way. In the meantime, I did want to share with you a couple of other videos. So I'm just going to share my screen and let you have a look at a couple of videos I've got going over here. So just bear with me a second, and I will start by showing this one, and then I shall pause that and then share my screen. So here we go. Oh, except I don't have the option to share my screen. So I don't know whether, Jackie, you can just quickly allow me to share my screen. And not sure if we can do that. Hello, Jackie. Yeah,
I'm here.
Yeah, there you go. Yes.
Yeah, I'm here.
Usually it's a good idea to prevent me from messing around with things because I can get into trouble. All right. Oh, so, Sep, you're muted now.
Can anyone, okay, Andrew, can you see Liam's screen?
Yeah, it's disabled. It says host disabled participant screen sharing. So there's probably some option. I'm not sure if I'm still, and we can just carry on. I'll just work with what we've got going here right now, because in fact, what I'm showing, oh, there you go. We've just got loss of signal. That was actually live video from the space station. And
Cool.
this is a good thing to talk about because you can now see there's a message on the screen, and that is from NASA saying that there is a temporary loss of connection with the International Space Station. And this is an opportunity for me to tell you a little bit more about what happens. How do we get the signal from the International Space Station? And what actually is going on is the ISS has a relatively high bandwidth connection for data, and video is really just a special form of data. But this particular, oh, it's come back again already. This particular signal path, the space station has special antennas that track several geosynchronous satellites, and they beam the signal to those satellites, which then transfer them to the ground, actually in New Mexico. So the data signal is taking that rather convoluted path, but they have quite a bit of bandwidth. They have about 600 megabits per second shared across all users of the International Space Station. And the video feed is just one of those parts of the data feed. And depending on where the space station is and the orientation of the space station, its attitude, the antennas may have periods where they can't point directly at the satellite. There could be a part of the space station structure in the way, and one of the solar panels, and they can have loss of signal for anywhere between 2 minutes and 8 minutes. And when that happens, you then don't get to see the live video feed. So that was a
Liam,
long, yes.
Liam, you're now the host, and you're talking about antennas. I remember, was there a time an antenna got stuck in the space station? There was a problem with the space station. I heard it was early, like 2005 or 6, that the space station kind of started to fall out of the sky or something because an antenna was stuck. Do you know anything about that?
I don't know anything about that. No, that sounds quite extraordinary.
Apparently it's on YouTube, and it's and it took, I think it fell 40 kilometers or something before they got it back under control. And it did a slow barrel roll around the Earth. And I remember someone told me about it. Could have been a flight director, but I do know if you go on YouTube, there's some footage of it somewhere. So it was just when you were talking about antennas, it reminded me that
well, there was a recent. There was a recent emergency.
I thought it was. It comes to memory 2005 or 2006. Around that
40
time,
kilometers is a huge distance for the space station. Yeah, wow, that's the first I've ever heard of that. I'm going to have to go looking for that. I feel embarrassed that I've never heard of that.
I know, you can't know everything, but I just happen to know someone who knew something who knew someone,
Yeah, right. Yeah, because the thing about the space station is, its orbit is very well known and tracked. So, that's part of what allowed me to do this. But while we've got the live video feed going here, I thought I'll actually keep it going for the time being. Although I notice I can now share my screen, so I will go back to that. But what is happening right now is the space station is certainly getting closer to northeastern Australia. Oh, is that another? That may be a little another loss of signal. I can see that, yeah, or at least it stopped. Let me see if I can bring the live video feedback on. While I'm waiting for that, I will share my screen and just take you over here. So hopefully you're now just seeing this, which is an animation of the space station. While it's doing that, I'm moving my mouse. Let me just go back a little bit. I'll restart this because I want to show you where the camera is that you see the live video feed from. The camera is literally right here. You know, the space station, this is an animation of it, but a pretty reasonable quality version. There are some parts on here that are a little bit out of date. But nevertheless, you get the idea that what we've got here are the main solar panels, and the space station actually flies. They call it flying in a particular orientation. And so the Russian segment is at the back of the space station. The US section and the Japanese and the European Space Agency module sections are all at the front. And so this side of the space station is called starboard. This side is port, the left side, the right side. And the camera that is most often featured through ISS above is right here, pointing directly down. And so let me just let this scroll around a little bit just to bring that into view. So yeah, this is the main, I call it the business end of the station. This is where a lot of the US modules dock. So there are actually currently 2 spacecraft docked here. There at the front, just recently arrived, is a SpaceX resupply vehicle. On the top here is the Crew Dragon that docked there some months ago. And then underneath, when this scrolls around a little bit more, it's a reasonable representation, but it doesn't have the newest Russian module that connected to the space station about a month ago, where there was a bit of an emergency when, after docking, this new module decided it didn't want to be docked anymore and fired its retro thrusters, thinking that it needed to be somewhere else. And that flipped the space station 540 degrees across an hour. So it spun the space station around. And while it was doing that, the Americans were commanding the Zvezda unit, which is here at the back, and also one of the Progress resupply vehicles to actually counteract that force, and they got it under control, and then went back to regular flight mode. So that was what can be called a rather interesting day on the space station. So I'll just stop the sharing for now and come back over here. So yeah, so you've got an idea there of what I was sharing about the space station. Now we're back to a live video feed showing where the space station is over right now. And if I just confirm where the station is at this moment, I think it's a very cloudy day approaching Queensland. So yeah, so it is, hopefully it'll clear up a little bit and we'll have some view of yeah, a little view of Queensland coming up, probably in about, oh, it may still be a minute away, although it looks like the video feed has frozen for a second here. I think we're all having a little bit of an internet problem day going on, but I'll try and restart that up.
So Liam,
all right. Yes.
Liam, what got you all involved in this? Like, you couldn't have just possibly woken up one day and gone, I'm going to create this amazing piece of hardware to bring the space station to classrooms.
Yeah, I may have mentioned this a little bit earlier, but my original interest in this was really as someone who was doing public outreach. So I was the president of Orange County Astronomers, which is quite a large astronomy club in Southern California. And we used to do school presentations every week. There would be many going on. And at the time I was doing it, which was in the early 2000s, really all the way, well, ever since then. But the early days when I was president of Orange County Astronomers, it was the early days of the International Space Station, and it was being built because the first part of the space station was launched in 1998. And from that point on, it was built primarily through launches of shuttles with the components, but also launches from Russia too. And at that time, it meant there were many opportunities. Oh, right. So this is now live, going over Queensland, probably skirting across the northeast version part of the country. You'll obviously know a lot more about where this is, but hopefully, oh, it looks like there may be some fires down there. You see the smoke, which is just on the lower right, moving towards the center.
Well, you're right. It does look like
yeah,
that's
what wildfires look like. Yep, that is what wildfires look like from space. We've seen a lot of them all around the world through this live feed. Obviously, some pretty ginormous ones happening across Northern California. I never mentioned, I actually live in Southern California, near Pasadena, near LA. So currently the wildfires are a little bit further away from us, but I have many friends and teacher friends who are in schools that are in the affected areas. But yeah, I was sharing all about this. So what I was really getting to is, as a person involved in public outreach, the space station was at that time a very interesting thing for the public to know, especially when the space station and maybe a visiting space shuttle were going to be making a visible pass. So, you know, there's a lot of interest in what in the space station. I've had a lot of personal interest in it. I've seen what happens when young minds, students, through to you know, K through gray, as we call it here, kindergarten to gray, meaning those of us, those people who may be retired, everyone, I think, can find themselves inspired by what the space station represents. It's a place where there's a considerable amount of cooperation that goes along with people from all around the world to make that place work. And, you know, for that very reason, I found it a very inspiring thing to work with. I also mentioned I was a planetarium lecturer at the Griffith Observatory, which is a big public observatory in LA. And so around 2013, gosh, that seems a long time ago, which I guess it is, that was when I decided to create this little gadget to inspire my grandchildren, because I wanted my grandchildren to know that they had the coolest grandpa around. And that was how I did it. That was literally what I was doing initially, was creating this thing to inspire my grandchildren. But I just happened to have friends and other people, when they saw what I was creating, who inspired me to bring it as a product to the market. And I did it as a Kickstarter initially in early 2014. And that was successful. I shipped around 300 units out. And that was the very same time, April 30th, 2014, was when NASA installed and made available to the public a camera system that for the first time had dedicated views of the Earth from space. And at that point, I realized I could reprogram all of these Raspberry Pis so that they would also show the live video feed here. And I think